The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are coming to you from many different places this morning live. Today is February 25th. I always have to check the date to make sure. It's February 25th, 2021. We're so excited that you're here with us. We're going to be live for the next hour talking about autism, talking about it from a 360-degree perspective. And I'm really excited because we've got some amazing guests that are going to be joining us a little bit later on. So welcome. I want to remind you that this entire show is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. I especially love hearing your thoughts, your feelings, your questions, your concerns. And there are many different ways to participate for you right now in the live show, or even if you're watching this later on. So first of all, let's talk about how you watch the show. We've given you lots of different choices, not to overwhelm you, but because we know you like it how you like it, right? So you can be watching us live right now on the Big Four. The Big Four are Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. If you're watching on any of those platforms, all you have to do is write your comments in on those sites, and they show up here on my screen in relatively real time. Go ahead, try it, and then I'll tell you the minute I see it. So somebody write in and say hello, and I'll say, oh, I see it right now, so that you'll know a little bit what the time delay is. But because we love it when you guys participate. But also, you know, when the show is over, when the live show is over, we've recorded it and we podcast it. It's still available as a recording on those Big Four that we talked about, plus a whole bunch of other sites that we're now live on, that you can also be writing in on those platforms, but it takes infinitely longer. And if we get lots of comments on the other four, unfortunately, we can't get to everything. That is just the reality of our circumstances. But we do appreciate when you're watching us on all of those platforms. But when we're recorded, it's a podcast and it's available pretty much any place. Hey, Amira, hello. That's how long it took. So however long you did it, that's how long it took for that to show up. Amira watching us on YouTube. Love that. So we love it when you participate. And you can be watching us any place that you get your podcasts. And if you go to the place where you get your podcasts and you don't see us, could you please do us a favor and let us know, because we want to be there for you. And our fabulous producer, Traven, will work very hard to have us be in that place where you like to get your podcasts. Deal? And you can still comment even if you're watching us in podcasts. It could be 10 years from now and you could be watching this video, and we have a website, autism-live.com. And there is a chat at the bottom, and you can put your comments in the chat. A lot of times when we're having guests on, like Temple Grandin or Dr. Grant Pichet, we take our questions, our starter questions from there. So feel free to write us there as well. And of course, you can always email me directly. My email is s.penrod@autism-live.com. So that's S as in Sam, Penrod, which is P as in Peter, E as in egg, N as in Nancy, R as in robot, O as in Oscar, D as in dog, at autism. That's the one word I know you know how to spell. Hyphen, that's the dash in the middle, right? Live, L-I-V as in Victor, E.com. Okay. So we got that out of the way. I also like to remind you at the start of the show, whenever I have an opportunity to, that we have lots of experts that are here on the show. I've got some great experts for you today about one of my favorite subjects. But I just want to remind you that I'm not one of the experts. My credentials to be sitting here are, the lesser credential, as I understand it at this point in my life, is that I am the mother of a fabulous young man who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. And so that's what got me here. But the main reason why I'm here now is that I need to pay forward to all of you and help you on your journey, which is different from my journey. I want to help you to get to the things that you want to get to. I also like to remind you that the mission of this show, our mission statement, is to provide information and inspiration to that larger autism community. Now, that starts absolutely, of course, with individuals who are on the autism spectrum. I always say they're the beating heart of our community. But I also, in the conversation, include everyone who loves those individuals. I'm one of those people. And we want to be here to support and to help be a larger voice for those people to get to the things that they want. It's very hard, because as a parent, there are things I loved. If you didn't watch yesterday's show with Dr. Graham Pichet, I think it was really I thought a lovely show. I loved so many of the things that she said. And one of the things that she was saying yesterday is as a parent, doesn't matter, who your child is or what diagnosis, all parents, we have this idea of who our child is going to be, and it is never who we think. And part of the journey of a parent is allowing your child to be who they are, loving them for who they are, helping them to be able to do the things that are meaningful to them. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who are probably in their teens or their 20s who this will sound weird, but those of you who are in your 30s and older or have had children will relate to this. It's like, your child turns 16 and you don't stop being a parent. I have to say to my son on a regular basis, please forgive me. I've never had a teenage son before. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how best to support you, which means that sometimes I'm not going to be the person that has all the answers, and I'm going to make mistakes, right? But I think that if we as a community are willing to accept that we don't know everything and communicate with each other, and if our intention is to provide the resources and the support and the love and the respect to individuals on the autism spectrum, I believe that we will get further. But we got to open our ears and listen. This is very hard for me. I can talk you under the table. I'm working as a person on this planet at being the person who listens. Not there, work in progress, right? But I'm working on it. So anyway, we welcome that entire community, of course, the individuals on the spectrum, but also everyone who loves them. That's what this show is for and about. Okay. Having said all of that, we, again, want your questions, concerns, thoughts, whatever you got going on, send it on over. And we love hearing from you. But it is time, my friends, for something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and we try to figure out what in the hey nani are these experts talking about? Why should we know this? Why do we have to bother? Why do we need this headache? Because we don't have enough to do, right? But I know that I found over the years that if you understand, jargon is there to make things faster and more effective. I understood that first as a waitress, because there's so much waitress jargon, and at first I was like, why, this is another language, being a waitress. I was 16 years old the first time I had a waitress job, and I was like, what are they saying? What does this have to do with anything? But I found that it helped things when I understood it. It made things quicker. If you don't understand it, it slows the whole thing down. So there is so much jargon in the world of autism. Some of it is psychology jargon, some of it is insurance jargon, some of it is ABA jargon. I mean, come on, it's craziness. So what we do here is we take it just one bite at a time. We give you one word, one phrase, one acronym. First, we give you the actual definition, then we make fun of the actual definition, then we give you a working definition, put it into some sort of context. Be gentle with yourself. If you don't get it the first time, that's okay. We do these, cycle them over time, and the more, sometimes it's like, in order to understand one jargon term, you got to get a general understanding of a bunch of jargon terms, and then all of a sudden it starts to click. And then you save yourself the time, the money, the energy, and you get more progress. And really, that's what it's all about. So let's take a look at what our jargon term is today. Let's see how much fun we can make of it. I think I know what it is, but because we've been very slowly walking you through, yes, it's one of the hard ones, the verbal operants. Now, I got to be honest, this is one that we didn't cover for years because it's not really in the mainstream. This isn't one of those ones that you're going to hear people, like when we covered manned a couple of, like a week and a half ago, that's when you're going to hear constantly, right? That, you know, ABA professionals will be talking to you about manding, speech and language pathologists will talk about manding, but we don't hear a lot about autoclitics, and we can talk about why that might be. But I got to say, it's one that I'm still adding to my repertoire of things that I completely understand. So forgive me, let's do the best that we can. All right, so let's take a look at our actual definition, and then we can go pound our head against a wall because I have a feeling it's going to be that useless to us. Autoclitics, verbal responses that modify the effect on the listener of the primary operants that comprise B.F. Skinner's classification of verbal behavior. I'm sorry, what? An autoclitic is a verbal behavior that modifies the function of other verbal behaviors. And now find something to hit your head against, because what, where, when, how, not sure I know. Hey, Amanda, love to see your blue hearts. Okay, let's help ourselves. You know, I love Ileana Vincent. Let's help ourselves and let's move on to our working definition and see if we can't get closer to this. Again, this is one that I'm still getting my arms wrapped around. So if we go to our working definition, it's things you add to verbal communication that change how the listener interprets what is said. So if we talk about perspective taking and that you have a whole life going on in your head, some of which you share with other people, some of which you don't. And if we talk about verbal behavior and all of the ways that you and I communicate information to each other and the way we receive that communication, right? So we've talked about how some people, you know, they have a flat affect, their face is blank, and they talk all on a monotone, and it's hard sometimes to pick up their meaning. So autoclitics are little things that you're thinking that color the way that you are speaking to other people that could change the way they receive the information. So it's little clues. This is like the finesse stuff that's advanced. That people do on a regular basis. You know how there are some people in your life that you go, wow, they're just so intuitive. And they, you know, like maybe everybody goes out to dinner. Remember when we used to do that before we were in the Great Isolation? But you all go out to dinner. And there's a couple sitting across the table from where you're sitting. And then afterwards, you know, on the ride home, somebody says, oh, I don't think that Bill and Patty were really getting along. I don't know what's going on there. And another person goes, what are you talking about? They seem really happy. They were laughing and whatever. And somebody goes, no, because when it was time when they were saying about how they're going on vacation, did you notice how Patty, you know, she was like, yeah, we're going on vacation, right? Right? And the other person goes, I didn't pick up on that at all, right? But if the person was paying attention and they were noticing Patty's tone and the way, you know, her eyebrow went up, yeah, we're going on vacation, right? The way she inflected, that changed the way the person received the information. It isn't like, it would be easy to say it's about sarcasm. It isn't. It's about coloring the language with the thoughts that are going on to convey something. And it's the kind of stuff that's easy to miss. But once somebody knows and understands these things, if they're dialed into it, if they're tuned into it, they get more information. Now, there are ABA experts all over the place, you know, breaking out into hives at this explanation. And Kirsten wants to know, does it mean changing pitch or using your hands? It could be all kinds of things. If you think about it, if we really want to dive into how do we Skinner said that verbal behavior was everything that you do to convey communication in any kind of a, conversational setting, which means that it's one person and another person or a bunch of people, right? If we're sitting in a restaurant and I could be across the restaurant from you and I can just point to something, but I'm trying to talk to you, that's verbal behavior. It isn't all vocal. In fact, Skinner said that most of it, the vast majority of communication that we have, is not vocal. And then even within vocal communication, there are all kinds of things that we do. We vary the way that we talk. We vary the language that we vary our pitch. Sometimes we're trying to communicate something, and so we will pick words that are, my mother always used to call $5 words. So we're trying to convey a certain thing, like this is more formal, or we're trying to convey that we're smart, or, there's all this information that's going backwards and forwards. So if we really dial in on all of it, autoclitics are those things that they're really hard to put a finger on, because it's a whole world of, I'm using my hands right now. I'm using the speed of which I say something. I'm pitching my voice in a certain way. I'm using my eyebrows in a certain way, right? And all of that can color what I'm communicating to you, so that you have more of an idea of, I'm saying something, but you have a better understanding of it and what my perspective is. Does that make sense? This is my baby understanding of it. So it could be sarcasm. It could be a lot of things. So I appreciate you guys all being here. I'm saying hello to Valerie. Thank you for being here. And Kirsten, I didn't say hello to you, so I'm saying hello to you. Okay, so it's one of those, like I said, I'm still getting my baby head around it, but Autoclitics, it's kind of a fun thing. Very advanced, not the kind of thing we're going to hear on a regular basis, but it's another rabbit hole to go down for verbal behavior. Okay, moving on. We always have a question of the day for you. And our question today is, what positive self-statements do you use? We talk a lot on this program about what is going on in our heads and how our perception of the world is based on what is going on in your own head. And we talk a lot about helping individuals who are on the autism spectrum to understand that what is going on in their head is not what's going on in somebody else's head. But I think this is powerful stuff, because there's a whole school of people who will say, you want to change your life, change your mind. Because we all have those tapes that run in our heads of things that we say to ourselves. And we can change that, and we can help the people that we love on the autism spectrum to understand that this is a tool that they can use too. I don't believe in just doing positive affirmations to just do the affirmations. But I do think that they can be really useful, especially if you're somebody who's used to talking to yourself in a negative way, to change the dialogue in your head. So I believe, and there are many people who teach, that your head is a supercomputer that will always say yes. So if you're saying to yourself, I'm so lazy, then your supercomputer brain will go, yes, yes, you are. And it will point to all of the examples in your day, in your life, when you were lazy. And I certainly hope that every single one of you gets at least 3 seconds in your life to be lazy, because we all need time to just be. We're not human doings, we're human beings, right? So we could all say, oh, I'm so lazy. And our brains would say yes. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. You need time to be lazy. So could it also be true that if you said to yourself, I got a lot done today, would that also be a yes? And I think that most of the time you'll find that we could say one thing and it would be true, but we could say the complete opposite and it would also be true. So this is why I like positive self-statements, because I believe that they are as equally true as the negative things that we could dredge up. And if we have a choice, the negative stuff is always available, but if we have a choice to color our experience in a way that makes us happier, why not? And it's not like something that we have to have money in the bank account to do. We can just change the statements for ourselves. So what positive self-statements do you use? When you are talking to yourself, do you say things that are positive or do you say things that are motivating? It's funny, I must be in a waitress head this morning, but I remember years ago waitressing with this wonderful, wonderful man. His name was Robbie. And he had I don't know whether he was Cuban, but he had this very thick accent that was fabulous. And he trilled his R's. And whenever it would get busy in the restaurant, I think I've told this story before on the air, he would talk to himself, but he would forget that he was saying it out loud. But I loved to hear how he talked to himself, because he would be, setting up a tray to take it to a table, and he would say, "Go, Robbie, go." And I still to this day use that when I'm in something where I have to get it together and I've got to get something done and I've got to get it done in a short period of time. I will say to myself, "Go, Robbie, go," to jazz myself up. And I say Robbie. I don't say "Go, Shannon, go." I say "Go, Robbie, go," because it's just a wonderful memory for me and it makes me happy and it takes some of the stress away. And that's a positive statement for me. "Go, Robbie, go." So what do you say? And I say lots of different things to myself, positive self-statements. Listen, I still say the negative ones too, but I'm working on it, right? Work in progress. But what are some positive self-statements that you use? And are you modeling that behavior for the people that you love in your life that are on the spectrum? Are you helping them to see that they can say positive self-statements to themselves? Are you helping them that when you hear them say something negative, are you helping them to see the flip of it? Because that's something that we can do, but it all starts with modeling the behavior. We know that individuals who are on the autism spectrum learn from their environment. We know that they learn from the people around them and how they treat themselves, that's one way in which we can be teaching them. So write in and tell us. My computer's being very weird. Inner dialogue is work in progress over here. It is for everybody. Let's all hug ourselves and admit that, nobody gets this perfect, but it's like a tool that we can have. Johanna, you liked the jargon? Okay, well, I love that. It's not perfect, but it's a good thing. Okay, somebody says, "I have something hanging in my dining room that says, 'Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day.' When I get frustrated and everything is going bad in my day, I try and remember that one good thing that has happened." Okay. Traven is reminding me that I'm late for my guests. Thank you, Traven. Okay, let's move on to our topic this week and see what we've got there. But keep writing in, you guys, about your positive self-statements, because our jargon today is asking the right question. Sometimes, when we're faced with a dilemma, it really comes down to what are the questions that we're asking of ourselves and what are the questions that we're asking of other people. And that when we ask the right question, sometimes it is the game changer. And this goes really perfectly with our guests today, because you guys know, if you watch this show, I am the biggest fan of the company that our guests work for. We never say the full name. We never say Skills Global. I don't know why, but Skills Global encompasses both Skills and IBT, and I am their biggest fan for so many reasons. But I know that a bunch of you are fans as well. But I just want to tell you that there was a time in my life when I was out of hope, desperate, and was like, I don't know what to do to help my child. And I've shared before that I was on the floor of my bedroom in the middle of the night praying and saying, please help me to help my child. Please help me to help my child. Please, I don't know what to do and I don't want to let him down. Please don't let that be my story as a parent. I don't want to be the mom who doesn't know what to do for her kid and I don't know where else to go. Please help me. And, you know, I was incredibly lucky that the very next day, my work sent me to a home of a family that their child had autism and their child was being treated at CARD. Changed my life. And I started on a path where there were people who could help me to know what to do to help my child. And those of you who are watching and who have been on the floor and been like, I don't know what to do to help my child or to help my grandchild or to help myself, you know how big of a deal it is when you find help, right? And by the way, when I was on the floor praying, I said, please show me what to do. And if you show me what to do, I will, once you help me to help my child, I will turn around and help whoever I can. That was the deal that I made on my bedroom floor. So the very next day I get sent to the house and I meet people who tell me about CARD, life-changing, right? And then we started therapy and it was hard, but I saw my child improving. It was still hard because we had a long way to go, but my child was improving. And you know what a gift it is when you're with people who know how to help you to help your child. It's everything, right? So then my prayer every night switched to, how can I help other people to be able to do this? Because it can't just be that I'm lucky because I live in a place where they have this service. I can't just take this and know that there are moms in Zimbabwe and there are moms in Kansas and there's a mom in Dubai who's on the floor praying the same thing, but she doesn't have what I have. I just couldn't, that just didn't seem fair and that didn't seem right. And then one day, Dr. Grampy Shea invited me to come to see a thing and she unveiled skills to the group of people in this room. And I don't know how I got to be lucky enough to be in the room. I'd never met her before, but I know I shook. I shook because I knew it was the thing I had prayed for. When I saw skills unveiled and I was like, this is going to help that mom in Dubai. This is going to help that mom in Kansas, but it's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that, who it can help and why it can help. That, you know, to me, it is still mind blowing. And can I just say this, and we're going to talk about this and I'm going to bring the guests in and not, you know, cry anymore on this, but I've always loved skills and I've always loved IBT. I just think they're the greatest things since sliced bread. But then COVID hit, right? And how these people have behaved in COVID, I have goosebumps. I am so proud to know them. I am so proud to be able to have them here on the show because for so many people who in COVID were like, I don't know. I had something. I don't have this. I don't know what to do. And I have watched people's lives change in COVID because they had access to skills and IBT. So I love these people. So let's bring them in here. Let's get them in here. We've got Kathleen and Sam who are joining us. And in both cases, I don't want to slaughter their last names. So Kathleen, I want to start with you. I've known you forever, but I don't want to slaughter your last name. I'm wiping away the tears here. I get emotional about it. Tell us what your full name is and what your title is at Skills Global.
Certainly. Good morning. I'm Kathleen Pelaez, rhymes with the boy's name Elias, and I am the product manager at Skills Global.
Well, thank you. And I love these, are those Mickey ears on the back? Mm-hmm. Those are so fabulous. And then Sam is also joining us. And Sam, I don't want to slaughter your name. So tell us what your full name is and what your position is at Skills Global.
Good morning, Shannon. My name is Sam Aghabi, and I am an account executive here with Skills. We're certainly excited to be here. You've certainly been the talk of Skills Global here for the last 2 weeks or so.
Oh, dear. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I know that I love you guys and I love what you do. Sometimes it's hard to describe to people what you guys do because Skills Global, what you guys do encompasses so many different things I think that's the biggest problem, is saying to people definitively what it is. I tell people it's the online toolkit for autism, but that does not even begin to cover it. So who wants to be the person to say generally explain to people what Skills Global is?
I'd be happy to jump in here, Shannon. Ultimately, Skills Global is going to be a one-stop shop for anyone working with a learner on the spectrum. And I feel that term is lightly used within the technology community in ABA, where with Skills, we really do have everything: an assessment linked to a curriculum. We have the trainings. Things of that nature make us that complete ABA workflow. And in particular for for our parents, Skills is going to enable them to be the therapist themselves, right? And you really touched on that commitment to excellence that ABA demands. No clinician can tell us when a kiddo is going to achieve a skill, but what we can control is our energy and effort and enthusiasm that goes into teaching. What Skills will give us is everything that we need to be the teacher and the therapist ourselves.
Which is amazing. Any day of the week, that's amazing. But in COVID, it's especially amazing. Should we talk about what your COVID response is, or do you want to go through what some of the different things, some of the different tools that you guys offer? What do you want to talk about first?
I think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Well, I think it's, in talking about what we offer, it's important to mention that everything is based in these, in 30 years of clinical research and expertise, and it's that knowledge that backs the products that we make, whether we're talking about skills with an assessment and a curriculum, or we're talking about IBT, which offers training courses for parents and professionals on the spectrum. I think it's important to remember that the quality that we bring has 30 years of clinical research and expertise behind it.
Absolutely. But I really want to make sure people know too that the things that you guys do, and you touched on this a little bit, Sam, parents can use this. But it's not just parents that can use this, teachers can use this, and professionals in the ABA world can and do use skills and IBT. So it's all different levels that can use it. And I love that you guys have a way that things are geared towards those different professionals. Because if you're a parent, let's be honest, you could be watching the show and learning the jargon, but sometimes, you're at the beginning and you really aren't interested in knowing everything that an expert knows. So you guys have things that are just for parents. But for those parents who are like those rock star parents who go, okay, I went through all of the trainings, I understand how I'm using skills, I want to know the more advanced skills. I love the fact that you guys allow them access to that and say, equal opportunity here. What do you want to learn? I think that is just one of the 1,000 things that I find remarkable about you guys. But let's talk about COVID, because this has been, what's the word that we want to use? This has been remarkable. I don't think anybody foresaw that we were going to be in this circumstance. And now we are just getting ready to crest the 1-year mark, and we're not done. And for families who have one or more person on the autism spectrum, this really put a crimp in services. We worked so hard in the early aughts to make sure that people had access to insurance. And we had just gotten to 50 states here in the United States that had mandates to pay for ABA therapy. And then all of a sudden, people lost their therapy. Talk to us about why IBT and skills have been so important in COVID, and some of the things that you guys have done to make sure that people had access.
Absolutely, Shannon. We've definitely gone through a turbulent year here ourselves at Skills, and we feel the pain. It's been a battle. In regards to skills specifically, we have to remember that the assessment is based on psychometric research. So immediately, our parents are taking the role of the BCBA, how great it is to assess our own child. right? We're going to link that particular assessment directly to a teaching curriculum that's in layman terms. And whether it's parents that are not comfortable in proceeding with telehealth, or that are in rural areas, or that simply cannot afford ABA services, it's a resource that will, again, enable us to not only become the therapist, but do the assessment ahead of time. And what many times I challenge my parents to understand is what it takes to put together a curriculum for a kiddo. Right, where our BCBAs are using multiple assessment tools, going back and writing SDs and responses, and spending thousands of hours at times doing such, right? Where skills makes the magic happen in that sense, where we have the curriculum in-house. Now, for viewers of your show, of course, we are offering a discount into Skills, our clinical software. And in regards to IBT, we're constantly keeping up here and updating the specific courses that we're offering. Currently, for our parents, we are offering school readiness skills, and for our educators, impact on the classroom. And again, it's a guide, and our team of BCBAs put together, create, and produce these trainings, and they are audience specific, right? Meaning if we're speaking to a parent, that in particular is the audience that we're creating that training for. And we want them to be fun. We want them to be engaging. We want you to follow along. And we continue to encourage viewers to reach out to us and to tune into your show to see what updates we're making and continue to make.
Wonderful. And Kathleen, we had a viewer who just logged in, and they were like, I want to know, can we reintroduce Kathleen? And I love, we've already got other viewers who are saying that you are the project manager at Skills, that you're driving software development. Can you talk to us just for 2 seconds about what that means? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. As a product manager, my role is to oversee the product lifecycle of the different products that we produce. So that means planning for a new product and overseeing its development, its testing, its release, its maximization, and eventually its retirement. Its retirement is part of that life cycle. So we build it, we use it, and then we kill it. And I, on a day-to-day basis, talk with the different Skills customers and IBT customers about what new features they might like to see, what new material might they like to have in IBT, and then we plan for it. So it's a job I really like, because I get to talk to people who use our products each and every day, and then I get to teach the development team how to build what we need. I'm not a developer, and they're not ABA specialists, so we get to have conversations about why something is needed in the software. What really are we addressing so that it's built properly? And it's a real gift that I get to imagine. I get to interpret. And I get to really drive and oversee the development of each and every one of our products, as well as our enhancements, and maintain the softwares on a routine basis.
Which is incredible and absolutely wonderful. And I thank you for everything that you're doing. I kind of just want to go through, because I think that videos that you can choose from to learn how to teach, the how of the thing. And they have, I think the dream team of experts. These are e-learning video modules that are so fascinating. I love how inexpensive they are. Like, you couldn't, if you wanted to go take a college class on something, you would have all of these different difficulties, that it wasn't the subject quite that you wanted, because there would be this big overview, and you'd be like, no, I just want to know how to teach my child how to, for instance, mand. How do I get my child to request things? And you wouldn't want to go take a whole college class to be able to do that. You just want to know how to do that. You'd love to have an expert to sit directly in front of you and explain, this is how we do this. Here are the important points that we do it. And you might want to rewind so that you could watch it again and again and again. And then you might go, this was so great. I'd like to bring my babysitter in and have them watch it. This is exactly what you can do with IBT. And you can pick the time that you're doing. It's all self-directed so that people can be watching it at 3 o'clock in the morning. But give us the idea about, because people go, oh, but there's a cost for it. So if you're paying for the college course for it, that would be really expensive. If you bought a book for it, a book would cost you what? At least, $25 at this point. But what's the range right now on what they pay for? How much is it to pay for an IBT module?
Shannon, we have courses that run for $7.50. And I think it comes back to what you mentioned. What's most important to the kiddo? What's most important to the family? And that's a common theme that I look upon for either IBT or skills. For IBT, we want to drill down to the specifics and begin there and begin to grow, right? Grow from that point. With skills, we can teach approximately 4,000 skills. Right. So what is it that you want to identify? And let's start there. We'll sit our parents down with our training team so that you can learn how to become the software expert. My advice and recommendation is to pick 3 to 5 skills, begin to work there with your child, learn how to become the therapist. And we also have to remember that the kiddo is going to be in a period of adjustment where, wow, mom is working with me like this now, or dad is working with me like this now.
But the IBT videos will teach you about that, about overcoming some of that, dealing with that.
Absolutely.
We got people, hang on one second, Sam. We got people writing in saying IBT is amazing, exclamation point. I've learned so much. We have started ABA ourselves while we were on a waiting list, life-changing for us. Another person says, I love skills and IBT. I can attest for both. I use IBT for my RBT course and pass my exam on the very first try. So you've got some other fans besides me who are here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we always want to interrupt for compliments. But you were saying, Sam?
No, you're absolutely fine. And I think it was speaking to that point of accreditation. Our videos are made with care, right? And they are made with the intent to help. And that's why we're currently doing what we're doing to help support the community. We're not in particular getting anything out of this. What we want to do, most importantly, is to support the community in this time of turbulence.
Wonderful. I do want to address, we've got a couple of questions that are here, but then I want to talk a little bit about skills, you guys. So one of our viewers has said, we are a skills member, but we're not card because of our location. Our 8-year-old with ASD does get ABA, and I'm trying to get the BCBA to work with skills. Right now, I print things I think he hasn't mastered, and I take them to the BCBA, and the BCBA tells me if they are mastered or not. Is this what we should be doing to continue guiding his therapy? And thanks for what you do. Oh, Kathleen, you are muted. Can you unmute
Not
yourself?
anymore.
There we go. Thank you.
I think that question came from Johanny. And the neat thing about skills is that it's going to ascertain what your child needs to learn. When you complete the assessment, you're telling skills what your child can and cannot do. And then skills says, well, based on what information you've given the program, here are activities to teach those skills that your child needs to learn. And here is a logical order to teach them in. So I think it would be a great idea to share the skills assessment and the results of the skills assessment at the lesson level. And if you go on the left-hand side of the screen to the progress tab, there is a lesson assessment link that will show you what percentage for each and every lesson in skills. And those of you that use skills, that's a lot of lessons. And you can also print out suggested activities. So when you go to the treatment section for each curriculum, there are 8 different curricula in the skills program, you're going to see a list of activities. Now, this is a menu. You couldn't possibly teach all of these activities at one time, but it is presented in a suggested sequence for instruction. And if you click on each, it'll show you what the prerequisite skills are as well. So you can ensure that you're teaching these skills in the appropriate order. And I would suggest sharing that with your BCBA. And here's something that's really cool about skills. You pay for skills by child, not user. So you can absolutely go to the admin section of your skills software and add another user. That way the BCBA themselves can log into the skills system, can contact us for training on how to use it, and access all of the information, all of that award-winning curriculum and the program to help assist your child with their learning.
How sweet is that? Because I think that that's really remarkable, and I would really encourage you to do that with the BCBA and show them what it is that you're doing. Because here's the thing: the BCBAs that are using skills will tell you that there's a slight learning curve to be able to use the software, but once they get it, and it's very quickly, they go, oh my gosh, where has this been my whole life? It supercharges what they are able to do, and they can get things done faster. So absolutely, there are so many more ABA providers and BCBAs who are using skills because it allows them to do what they do and takes away a lot of the things that they have to stress over. But I think it's like the cape. It gives them the ability to be the superhero. They're still driving the bus, but all of the things that are hard for a BCBA, I think skills makes it easier for them. So I don't think it's anything that they wouldn't be thrilled about taking a look at, is basically what I'm saying.
I think it's good to mention. Oh, sorry.
No, you go right ahead.
I think it's good to mention too that something that we offer that nobody else does is the training. Call us. There's a link in the software itself where you can send us a little note that says, I'd like to learn about skills. And one of our implementation specialists, we have a terrific implementation staff that are all experts in the skills system, and they'll set up a one-on-one appointment with you over video chat and screen share to train you how to use the system. There are videos in the system itself to train different portions of it. But if you need someone to show you how to use it, we've got someone to show you how to use it.
There we go. And I just want to say about the skills assessment from the point of view of a parent, there are so many things that skills can do, right? I always say it's like Disneyland. And that, you don't go to Disneyland and go, I'm going to try to do everything in Disneyland in 4 hours. You can't. And you wouldn't enjoy yourself if you did try to do that. But I think it's great to start with skills and just use one thing at a time and learn what it does and to have the benefit of it. And then when you say, okay, now next I need this other thing. So the assessment is a great place to start. How many of us are sitting in a place where we're like, I wish I knew where my child was. I wish that an expert could tell me that your child, we talk all the time about where is their expressive language, where is their receptive language, which one is higher, because we can teach more effectively if we know. But the reality of being a parent is that you try to find an expert who will pin down and show you exactly where your child is. They don't want it. They don't want to give you that information. Skills, the assessment, gives you exactly that information. You answer questions. And as Sam said, this has been researched and it's been found to be wildly effective that a parent can answer these questions and have it be a very accurate depiction of where the child is. So, which I just think that it is the most brilliant thing. It alone could, on its own, would be life-changing if you just do the assessment to know where your child is. I would say we go to the mall and the mall says you are here. On maps, every place you are here, and oh, okay, I'm here, I'm at JCPenney, I want to get to Macy's, and you can chart your course. Nobody wants to tell us my child is right here. Skills, if you'll take the time, it's an investment in yourself and in your child. If you'll take the time to answer the questions, you will get an accurate depiction of here is where your child is, and you will be a more effective teacher, and everybody on their team will be more effective. You will stop wasting time teaching something that is not what your child needs to learn right now. So I love the skills assessment for this. Absolutely love it. And skills gives you the ability to do that on your time, which is a really wonderful thing. But then once you know where your child is, then you do want to chart the course. And skills has, I mean, I remember a time when we were saying it had over 4,000 targets. I'm sure it's well beyond that now. What would you estimate, you guys? Is there even a number now, or is it just off the chart?
Between the two skills programs, skills developing for children and skills living for teens transitioning to adulthood and for adults, we're looking at about 6,000 activities, and within that you would have thousands of targets. Individual teaching targets were probably well up into the range of 10, 15, 20,000 individual targets. Sky is the limit on that because you can add your own as well. So if you're teaching individual targets in a lesson, say non-vocal imitation, sure, there are about 30, 35, maybe 40 targets there in the lesson for you. But if there are other actions that you would like to teach your child to imitate, you can add as many as you like. Sky's the limit.
Okay. Somebody's asking, I would love one-on-one help to use skills. I'm comfortable with IBT. However, skills is like Disney World because Disneyland is smaller. So I love that distinction. Thank you for correcting me. It's like Disney World because it does have different, I think maybe you're right, Disney World. Yeah. But so is there, and let's answer this question in two different ways. Is there one-on-one help for skills if you are a card family? And is there one-on-one help with skills if you are not a card family?
If you are a card family, I recommend talking to your child's clinical supervisor. And if you are a non-card family, you're going to click a button on the left side of the screen of any page of skills that says request training. You can call us at 877-975-4559. Leave us a message. We're not in the office right now, so leave us a message and we will get back to you to schedule that training. You can send us an email at training@skillsglobal.com, and one of our implementation specialists will respond to you and set up a one-on-one training.
Okay. Traven, can you put that number back up on the screen again? Because correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, that's the same number if they want to get any of the free IBT training or training modules, or if they want to get the discount. If you're watching Autism Live and you want to get a 10% discount on skills, all you have to do is say you saw it on Autism Live. I always tell them, say you're friends with Shannon, tell them you want the friends and family discount. Because I think that's hilarious. I don't know why I think that's hilarious, but I'm just weird that way. There is no friends and family discount, but let's pretend there is. But there is a 10% discount if you're watching us on Skills. So maybe that is the friends and family discount. And you can also get access to those every week on Ask Dr. Doreen. We talk about the free training that's being offered for caregivers and the free training that's being offered that week for educators. And then we also talk about your wonderful RBT training. But somebody else says all of the parent modules are so helpful. I think it's so helpful. I have them and they help us so much, which is really wonderful. So we really love that you guys are using them, because in COVID, this is there's a real need, you guys, and you're filling a need. I just think that's one of the highest callings, to fill a need. Okay, so I want to talk though for a second that you do the assessment on skills, and that's wonderful. But then you want to know what to teach, and you can move over into the curriculum. And depending on if there's skills living, and what did you say that the other one is called? Is that skills growing? What is the younger one?
Developing.
Skills developing. Okay, so depending on the age of the individual, you would be in skills developing, or if it was an older individual, what's the cutoff age, Kathleen, for skills living?
Well, there's not really a definitive cutoff age because it depends on where your learner is as compared to the developmental norms, right?
Okay.
So, but if we need to specify an age, about 12 to 13 years old would be a terrific time to transition over to skills living. For a learner that's 14 years old, as you know, at least here in the state of California, along with an IEP, we also have to start developing their plan for transitioning to adulthood. So that's a terrific time to bring on skills living because you have a lot of life skills types of activities in there. How to catch a bus, how to call an Uber or a taxi, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of great stuff in there for adults.
Love it. But that's all the things that are skill acquisition. And what I truly love about it is that I'm a former teacher, and when my child wasn't learning, on my worst day, I thought that my child was incapable of learning. And I learned that with the same curriculum, my son had the curriculum that is in skills. I learned that my child could learn, but then I didn't know where to start. So the CARD assessment, or I had services through CARD who were using skills and IBT. But if you don't have to be a CARD family to have access to that, you can use the skills assessment to know where your child is, and then begin to look at what's age appropriate, what's skill appropriate for them to learn to acquire all the skills that they need. But there's a whole other part of skills that is about behavior intervention and having a behavior intervention plan. So tell us a little bit about what that area of skills looks like, because it's brilliant. It's genius.
Thank you, Shannon. Specifically with our BIP module, it is a research and evidence-based tool within skills that's first going to help us identify the hypothesized function of behavior. Why is my child exhibiting such behavior? And we're going to sync the hypothesized function of behavior to research-based interventions that we can use for teaching. And across skills, I like to describe it as a Google library of ABA. What skill is it that we want to teach? We would be able to identify that skill and any prerequisites that come before to make sure that we're on appropriate track for progress. And same thing with our BIPs, where we can go ahead and enter into skills the target behavior, and it will populate with a series of 35 questions where we would indicate our level of agreement with a particular statement. And those series of questions, again, are going to provide us with the hypothesized function of behavior. Now, this is a clinical-based tool, and we will advise for our parents to consult with a clinician in regards to the BIP. Now, a potential workaround here is through the Institute of Behavioral Training, we have modules specific to behavior management and overcoming challenging behaviors. In the last few years here, I've met with hundreds of families that adore you and adore your show. And of course, I tend to agree. And really, it's specific to the family. I do have families that we partner with that have a BCBA in-house, where they have a team of analysts in-house, where they're working together. And you touched on this a bit earlier. Skills allows for that multidisciplinary approach to teaching. Kathleen mentioned that we can have as many users as we want on one account for one child, be it mom, dad, grandpa, school psychologist, speech therapist, etc. As we are based on developmental norms, we could all be on the same page here. And that efficiency within skills is really what's helping us achieve that type of fidelity that we're looking for.
And we're running out of time here. We literally have 30 seconds here. But if people want more information, where do you want them to go?
I would recommend that they email us directly at training@ibehavioraltraining.com. You can reach us at 877-975-4559. And I kindly suggest to book a demonstration with us. You know, we want to hear your story. We do care. And we're going to tailor a demonstration according to your needs and specify and work with you in regards to what may be best, the best fit for you and your kiddo.
Wonderful. We did have somebody who wrote in who had sent me an email the other day. They saw on the show about the RBT training. I just want to say to Sajal, I batch those. So I just got that email to them yesterday. It's not Skills' fault. It's my fault. They just got the request yesterday and you should be hearing from them very soon. There's so much where everybody's saying you need to come back because we barely gotten through things. You know why we barely got through things? Because I get so excited talking about it and I took all the time. But it's true. I love me some skills in IBT. And why do I love it? Because I think it gives the power to the person who wants the information. And that's what we need in this day and age. So I love you guys. I love what you do. I think that it has the power. I know it has the power to change lives. I've watched it happen. So let's have you come back. Let's talk more about the wonderful things that you guys do, because I could talk about skills and IBT all day and all night and be really excited. Maybe that's what I should do for a weight loss program, is just talk about skills and IBT so that I have no time to stick anything in my mouth. All right. Absolutely adore you guys. Thank you so much. Give our love to everybody on the team for the wonderful things that you're doing for families around the world. Definitely. What's the best website to go to, you guys?
skillsforautism.com.
And that's the word for, not the letter for, correct?
Correct.
Skills for FOR, autism.com. And then you can also go to ibehavioraltraining.com. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to push buttons and look, you guys, and ask for help and support. These people love to be helpful and supportive. All right, you guys, we adore you. We got to sign off. We're past the time now. I want to remind everybody we're back tomorrow live with Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, and we're going to do a research update that I think you guys are going to love. But until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. Bye, Kathleen. Bye, Sam. Thank you. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.